All right.
Good. Now, actually, will we be able to do like a YouTube? So one of us go monitor, so I do that.
Yeah, let me.
Or are we gonna?
We should be able to monitor the comments from here. Could we close now? I know that the chat, like YouTube, has done something where it takes a couple of minutes for the chat to connect.
Yeah, this is how it looks like now.
Okay, so it's got 30 seconds delay.
For whatever reason, it's not coming up on here, but I can just monitor it on. I'm monitoring on my phone if anything comes in.
Should we get started? We live?
Yeah.
Is there a display setting on the camera to the displays on it?
Oh,
You know what I'm saying?
oh, yeah, hold on.
There you go. Yeah. You do the memory card.
How about that? All right.
That was good.
Okay, so after a little bit of troubleshooting, we're here. We're here with a special guest. But first of all, just welcome to another episode of the Pepper Soup Talk Show, where we bring to the table movers and shakers in the African diaspora. I'm Aki, and this is Sekou. And our special guest today is someone who has made a lot of noise in the Philadelphia area and afar. He is a master personal trainer, and in fact, I had an opportunity to get trained by him last year, and it changed my life. And we can go into that later. He's also a fitness model. He former NFL player for Green Bay Packers. He owns a number of businesses, including Fit Academy, which is where we're sitting today. It's a fitness gym, meal prep service. He has executive wellness program, and honestly, the list goes on. So we're excited to talk to him today about his journey, how he came to do what he does, and talk to you about ways that you can stay fit and healthy, like he is in your day-to-day life. So with that said, welcome Osayi Osunde to Pepper Soup Talk.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, guys. Really appreciate it. It's going to be great. Super excited.
Yeah, so welcome. We're very honored to have Osayi here. As you could tell, he has a very prolific profile and someone who really tapped into all aspects of business, not just fitness. And this is why we are grateful to have him on the show, because not only he's not just, although we've talked a lot about fitness today, but again, this is a guy who has tremendous amount of experience, and we're looking forward to just hearing about him, his story, and also some of the gems that you're gonna drop. Like I said, this is a talk show for us, so let's keep it real, and then just speak your mind. But Osayi, welcome to another episode of the Pepper Soup Talks. So go ahead and take it away. So tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and how you got started before we even talk about the business part.
Yeah, okay. So I guess we'll start with, where I'm from, right? Mm-hmm. So I was born in Nigeria, born in Benin City, and then family emigrated to the United States, way back when in the late 80s. to middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania, Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania, and grew up there. Played sports and all sports from football, basketball, track, soccer, and then ended up getting a scholarship to Villanova University to play football, and then from there played professionally with Green Bay, and then had played and represented the United States at Team USA. That was pretty cool. After that was done, hung up the cleats and went corporate. I was fortunate enough to get my master's over at Villanova University, and undergrad, master's, and minor at Villanova. So I was able to get a good job over at Independence Blue Cross and Human Resources, which was what my master's was in. And then on the side, I was dabbling with modeling for the last 8 years. And at the same time, I was always staying in shape. Fitness was always kind of like that big part of me that never left. It's just, I love the way it makes me feel, love the way that it gives me a good routine. And it was kind of complementary to what was going on with, modeling, staying in shape to get ready for a casting call or any kind of gig that may pop up. So I was always in the gym. And honestly, people just saw me in the gym and they're like, yo man, can I work out with you? And I was like, oh sure, why not? Let's get after it, right? And people started getting results. And I was like, you know what? There may be something here, right? And I never thought in my entire life that I'd go and own a gym. I was getting a master's from Villanova University. I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to climb the corporate ladder. Maybe I'll build a business or something like that, and work my way up, and hopefully, be able to have a good life for myself here in the United States. But I was like, you know what? If I'm gonna make some money, help people with fitness, I might as well learn about it. I might as well know exactly how to do it, the ins and outs of it. And I studied, got my cert, and got my first job working at a big box gym, right, over at PSC, Philadelphia Sports Clubs in Philadelphia. And from there, just kind of blew up and took some people to the art museum steps where Rocky's at, and it just was a lot of fun. Super organic, just people enjoying, fitness. They wanted to train like an athlete, so I brought some spice to the workouts. And that's kind of how Fit Academy was born. It's a group of individuals who were working professionals who wanted to have fun, but also wanted to stay in shape. So kind of that work hard, play hard mentality.
That's great. Thanks for sharing that. And actually, just wanted to let our viewers know, we are actually shooting this show right now in this beautiful fitness place, the Fit Academy. I hope you get a chance to come by and check it out. It is really a beautiful gym. So just really talk to us about how you really started, because clearly you went through the corporate ladder and you realized you have to make some change. But fitness has always been part of your life, but it also sounds to me you could correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like it's your passions, right? So it's sort of this idea of translating your passion into reality. So how did you really build something like this? People walk in here today, they're like, wow, this is amazing. But it's not, things are not always what it looks like, right?
Yeah.
So walk us through
And one question before we even start talking about that, you said you're from Bluebell, which is
Bloomsburg.
Oh, Bloomsburg.
Yeah, you know where the university is at? Bloomsburg University?
I know the name Bloomsburg.
Yeah, it's from here it's 2.5 hours north. It's where Scranton is? North
Yeah.
Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, where the office is filmed, or it's
that's what I'm about to say, but I'm going to let you just elaborate a little bit.
Yeah, so Bloomsburg is it's from Philadelphia, it's basically just straight north.
Yeah.
And then, over west a little bit, 30, 45 minutes on 80. But from here it's 2.5 hours away.
And then you say you went to Villanova.
Yep.
And so first of all, what brought you to Philly? Before we get into,
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I got a full ride playing football for Villanova University. And I was a linebacker. We ended up actually winning a championship, which was dope, 2009. And I was the captain of that team.
Got you. And so then after college, you settled in here, because Villanova's a town, city itself as well. So were you living in Philly at that time? Or did you move there
so it's a good question. So it was a few different things that happened, right? So my brother owns a supplement company prior to the company that he was with, that he owned right before this company that he owns. So after college, I actually ended up working with him. I should say with him. And No, I ended up working for him, and you know, that was a great experience. I managed like their customer service websites. I managed, did some sales, and a lot of the shipping and logistics of everything. And then after about a year, I decided to move on. But I was living at his house for like a hot minute because I was broke, didn't have any money, and I was still trying to play football. So it was kind of like in between the sorts.
Gotcha.
Right? And then after that, settled down over in what is it, Manayunk, over in Manayunk, and you know how that is. You know, that's what people normally do after they live in this. They go to some sort of Philly school. They go to Manayunk, and then now I'm living here in Fairmount.
Got you.
That's great.
Yeah, so I know Sekou, we're probably gonna get into.
Yeah, it's just like thank you
Philly.
for sharing that because I believe that people's background and story is always important.
Yeah.
It's important for us to know where because you know people look at you today. You actually come from a small town, but also like way Nigeria as well. You know, we ourselves, he's Nigerian, of course. I'm from Guinea, so it's this is something. You know, this is always a proud moment for me to see this. You know, just from a personal standpoint, but from a business standpoint now. You know, I walked in here, I was just blown away by this gym. It's just because it looks the way it looks, the way it organized. It's a beautiful place, and it's also very welcoming. You know, but talk to us about how you got into this. How you started it. You know,
brick by brick. You know what I mean? That's the realest, right? Brick by brick, step by step. And you know, I didn't really have a plan at first, for real. Like. You know, the way that this 4,000 square foot facility ended up happening was there was my clients, and I didn't want to do it. I want people to be very clear about that. At first, I didn't want to do it until I figured out how I could actually do it, right?
Yeah. And what year was this?
This is like so I started the outdoors 2014. So by 2016.
On the Rocky Steps.
Yeah. Okay. So by the end of 2016, we opened the studio. So I went, you know, about 2 years, you know, building kind of like, if you want to call it, building my brand, building my notoriety through basically kicking people's asses at the steps and then throwing, you know, killer parties that, you know, we had like 30, 40, 50 people, 100 people at these parties after we work out. But honestly, like, it came from my clients wanted something to keep going. They didn't want the workout at the steps to end. And you know, by the end of the fall season, it started getting cold. Listen, we all African here, right? Yeah. I don't like the cold. I do not like the cold. All right,
I still wonder why I live on the East Coast, to be honest, man.
Unless I'm bundled up and I'm going down the mountain.
I might have to do a little bit with your African DNA. Yeah. That's a different story. But go ahead.
Let me backtrack real quick, bro. One of the things I used to hate when I was playing football was playing in the cold.
Yes.
Hated it. Luckily I played, so I always stayed warm. But growing up, I was that kid who always had like 2 sweatshirts on during practice to stay warm, 2 gloves, 3 socks. Bruh, the cold sucks. But I do love it. I do love it because you can, you know, play. Anyway, when it came to like outdoor workouts, I was like, and I was working corporate still. So I'm like, listen, you guys can go figure it out. Like, I don't know, go back to the gym or something like that. I'll see you guys come spring. And then I was like, you know what? Maybe there's something here. So I was like, no, I said, I'll figure it out. And I had like 50 clients. So I was like, 50 clients, that's a decent amount of people, right? So no one ever told me like, hey, what to do to build a gym. I didn't even know anything about real estate, right? So I did a few different things. First I was like, I need to figure out how to build a business plan because I don't know anything about business plans. And then I was like, man, I don't know anything about business plan. I need to research what a business plan is. You know what I mean? And then honestly, like it was just a lot of research. I spent a ton of time doing the hard work in order to create a plan. If you don't have a plan, you're doomed to fail no matter what, right? So first thing was build a business plan that made sense. Vet it out with some of my friends and family. They approved. They said, hey, this makes sense. Cool, great, awesome. Next step was figure out real estate. And I was like, shit, I don't know anything about real estate. I was like, well, I better start doing some research. So I read like 3 real estate books, talked to a few people, and then started reaching out to some real estate brokers around the area. And they started doing some showings. And then after I looked at a few different places, I was like, shit, I don't know anything about like architecture and design and gym design. So what I do? I had to research, right? And then started playing with some AutoCAD, different things, different layouts for what studios would look like. Got the schematics for a couple different places. But I didn't find this studio that we're sitting in now. It was actually one of the first studios I saw. There was nothing here. Bro, there was nothing here. These beautiful walls and steps, there was no walls, there was rafters, there was dirt underground, gravels. And I had to really, there was no, like, if you could turn on this camera and see these beautiful, you know, 20 foot windows, or 18 feet windows, there was no windows. It was like those roll-up garage doors, and everything was rusted, right?
I think we should talk about that because, so before we started this live, we're talking about how Sekou is actually my roommate, and we've lived in this area too. It's like Brewery Town, Strawberry Mansion, and we've been here for over 4 years now. And when we moved here, none of this was here. Like not even the studio, but like this whole area, like block by block.
Yeah.
And so we've literally seen this whole area be developed. And so I guess put it into context, when you came here, it was nothing.
Rough.
Right? Like, yeah, it was a whole different.
It was rough. If I would have, I must have been like blinded with I must have been blinded with ignorance and just passion and like vision because, bro, like you said, there was nothing here.
Yeah.
There was these apartments here, and then other than that, it was just like broken in house after broken in house after broken in house, and I was like, man, my clients, like, they're not gonna want to come to this neighborhood. They're not gonna want to come to this neighborhood. I mean, we're only like a mile away, three-quarters of a mile away from the art museum, so like, I thought it was convenient location-wise. And I'm like, man, shit, I ain't gonna make it if you guys don't come. I ain't gonna make it. But that's why you have to build something that people can feel safe at.
Yeah.
And like you said, for me, and if you don't mind me transitioning to why I built this place the way I did, for me, when we were outdoors, we had two things. We had, number one, space. We had beautiful scenery of the art museum, right? Looking down Ben Franklin and see the beautiful city, right? And we had, I think, just variety of like ways we can work out our bodies, right? Whether if it was steps, long distances, resistance bands. So when I built my studio, there's a few different things I wanted. First was cleanliness had to be clean. I'm not a neat freak, but I'm a neat freak. So I had to be clean. I had to give our clients variety. And I had to have enough space where it didn't feel like people were on top of each other because we're used to having classes of like 30 people. Sometimes we have these large scale events that have like 200 people.
Yeah.
So those are the two big factors for me. And I had to have bathrooms. When you're at the art museum, ain't no bathrooms out there, bro. Ain't no bathrooms out there. Right. So that's how I needed to evoke some sort of feeling. Right. So when you came into the studio, number one, I needed energy. Right. So whenever people came to see my workouts, it had to have energy. Right. If you were coming to my workout and you didn't leave feeling something, right, or smiling or sweating and feeling like you're dying, but then figuring out like, wow, I'm still alive and I feel amazing, all at the same time, it's very confusing. But I wanted people to have that same kind of emotion when they come into a studio like mine. And honestly, I didn't fully achieve that until probably this past year. Right? So now we've done a lot of things to the studio to upgrade it, to make it more visually aesthetic, that the way that you see it is the way it is now.
And you mentioned that you didn't know too much about real estate. You read some real estate books, and like it was really like learning as you go along. It sounded like, what was that process for you of finding, let's say whether you found a real estate person, like you mentioned architecture, and like what was that process for you of assembling a team or people who are able to kind of carry out that vision, and then how were you able to manage that while you're still putting on classes, you're you're still building the brand, like everything together, like.
I've always been like someone who loves learning. So all these new things were brand new to me. Right? So I was like, man, I don't know anything about this. This is kind of cool. This is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So I just dove into it, right? And I spent the time. A lot of people don't want to spend the time doing the research and testing things out and vetting it out. But I spent the time doing the research, vetting it out before I fully pulled the trigger on anything, right? I mean, granted, now I did dive essentially head into it, but I also had the safety net with still, working a 9 to 5, making really good money, where it wasn't the biggest rush, right? And I knew that I can rely on a consistent stream of income, so it wasn't a crazy amount of pressure. And I didn't realize what I was actually getting myself into. Entrepreneurship. The best part is you don't know what the hell you're getting yourself into.
Right.
No, but for real though, it really is, I think, a passion of learning. Most Africans have that passion of learning, especially if you're coming from, as an immigrant, first generation into the United States, right? We all have this dream to like make it in the United States, right? make a name for yourself and help your family out. The only way you can do that is by getting better individually every single day.
Yeah.
Right? Pushing towards whether it was education or entrepreneurism or medical, whatever it may be, it's always trying to get yourself to the next level.
Yeah.
I think it's like the immigrant edge or something, I don't know. But
The immigrant edge.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that phrase before.
oh no?
Nah.
You can steal it if you want.
well, it's on. It's being recorded, so we're gonna know where it came from.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that's really how it was. I'm a firm believer in you can do anything with 2 hours a day of practice. Anything. Anything. 2 hours a day. Not even 2 hours. Make it an hour and a half. Start it off slow. 30 minutes. Right? 30 minutes a day, and then expand to 2 hours a day. You can create anything in 6 months. So I was like, all right, here's my current schedule. Right? I work 9 to 5. I love working out, so I gotta get my workout in.
Yeah.
Give me 45 minutes to an hour for that. Right? I got a coach, right? So that's gonna be another 2.5, 3 hours. So that's like a decent amount of my day.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I need to wake up, or I need to do at least an hour of work before my own personal workout in the morning, before I go to work, and I gotta do an hour of work before I go to sleep. So meticulously for the next essentially like 3 months, is all it really took. I did an hour of work and an hour of work, hour of work, hour of work, hour of work, hour of work. I still had a lot of fun and played on the weekends and all that kind of stuff, but I had a process for myself where I was just, slowly progressing by chunking up the amount of work that I need to do over time. And then by the time I knew it, I already had all the information I needed to have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's how I basically built all my businesses,
Yeah.
right? Because I've always had something in the background where I'm running, so I'm also running on the other side. Does that make sense?
Right.
So that's kind of how I did it.
Right. I mean, for me, like, what's really resonating with me is, I think sometimes we look at business as like, it's this big process where you might need to go to business school or where you might need to know people who are in business. But it just sounds to me like, for most people that we have talked to on the show so far, with the entrepreneurship spirit, they just really talked about this, like, focusing on the small things and, like, just learning as you go. And I think for me, like, this is really why business is, like, it's not just exclusive to certain people, but it's like anyone could, like, build their own business if they really, like, if their mindset is there. But it's also like if they really follow certain, because there's no like a conventional way of doing it. That's just really, to me, like, I'm learning so much about just business, like the story behind it. So when I hear your story, it just made me think that, for those people who are thinking about doing something out there, like, this is why we love for you to continue to follow our show and continue to really, have you share this takeaway.
I love what you said real quick. You said there's no conventional way of doing it. And I want to parse that phrase out a little bit. And I want to only specify it to of doing it, right? So when it comes to the actual action of you yourself doing it, guys, there's a blueprint for everything. There's a blueprint for absolutely everything. No lie. You want to go start a business? Check it out. Google online how to start a business. You want to write a business plan? Google online how to write a business plan. Now the question is how you yourself going to actually do it. That's where it can become unconventional, right? So that you can do it differently, right? And you can find ways to tweak it so it fits best for how your personality is, right? But there's blueprint. Listen, you don't need a guess anymore, right?
Yeah.
There's technology where in your hand you can have all the answers in a matter of seconds.
Yeah.
So the question no longer is the information out there? The answer is hell yes. There's a plethora of information. The question is, are you willing to do the work?
Right. Because I think, like, we're living in a time where, like you just said, you can Google anything. You can find any, information you need on YouTube, and so like the information is no longer an issue for anyone as long as you have access to the internet. And so it's, are you gonna act on that information? Are you gonna learn the information? Are you gonna execute on it? And so in a lot of ways, it's we're going through a pandemic. Like there are of course a lot of challenges people are dealing with, but at the same time, it's also like there isn't a better time just in the history of the world to build anything.
Thank you for sharing the business aspect of your experience with us. So I want to keep our audience in mind here as we go into the show. So talk to us about fitness. Sometimes fitness could be intimidating, right? And sometimes people who are fit, they just think it's a lifestyle. But there are other people here who are also thinking about how do I get fit? How do I become healthy? What can you say to these people? What can they start? You mentioned something about like maybe if you do something for like 30 minutes and you keep doing it, it's going to accumulate. But there are people out there, especially during this pandemic, like, they want to be healthy. Like, what advice, like, where should these people start? Does it start with mindset? Or like, what are some guidance?
So some guidance. I mean, it depends too. Let's say like you're a brand new person, you haven't worked out in a long time. Let's say you used to work out, years and years ago. You've fallen off, but you're starting from square one again. In the end, guys, just like anything else in life, you got to start with the first step, right? The first step typically is, hey, who can help me, right? Or what information is out there for me that's going to help me achieve my specific goals? What is my goals, right? I think you have to really understand what you want to achieve first before you can even start diving into any kind of fitness program. Like for example, if someone wants to get bigger, faster, and stronger, well, there's no point enrolling in a bar class, right? If someone wants to bodybuild, well, you shouldn't be doing HIIT-based training.
Yeah.
Right? So it's really understanding, number one, what my goal is and what's going to actually help me achieve that. Then from there, it's really about chunking it up in small bits until you can actually take on the full, amount of work that's necessary to achieve your goals, right? So for those people who are just starting off, start small, right? Maybe it's 1 or 2 times per day. If you're starting off from not working out at all, right? Maybe you do 2 times a week for 30 minutes. Maybe it's less than 30 minutes. Maybe it's smaller than that. Maybe it's every day for 10 minutes. Yeah. Right? You can move for 10 minutes, right?
We're moving all the time, right? But it's just about like you said, like how you want to move with your day.
Exactly.
You look at your schedule every day, but at the end of the day, like everyone is doing something at all times. Yep. It's just about like how you sort of like using that energy, right?
Yeah.
But to me, I just know fitness is a journey, and often is how do you get somebody who is thinking about getting fit, but they just don't know how to. So, and I want to keep those people in mind because, all of us here were athletes. Yep. So even though you're an athlete, but there's still so much for you to learn.
Yep.
It's a journey. I don't look at fitness as just looking good and like being in shape. There's so much we don't know. So I'm just trying to.
And I think it's also people who, because some people it's, how do I start or where do I start? But then there are also people who, have the New Year's resolutions or start, but then, within let's say a couple of weeks, it's like, man, what happened to? I thought you started getting in shape this year. So like, how do people, so we're talking about how do people start, but then how do people continue and make sure they're able to maybe stay consistent with what they're doing, or at least just kind of keep the journey going.
Well, I think the key is consistency. Right? So, what would you say to those people, like,
Yeah. So when it comes down to it, I think it's really important that you find a system or a coach or let's say it's a trainer, right? Let's say it's a trainer. Find someone that's actually going to listen to you, to understand where you're coming from, to understand, to meet you where you're at, because. For example, if I were to put you into one of my programs that you weren't ready for, you'd hate it, you'd be miserable. But if I started you where you were at and progressed you along, you're going to be very happy about the results because you're feeling good along the way, right? So I think it's really important as a coach and as someone that runs a business. If you're on the other side of the table for me, I want a trainer who's listening to me, right? Who's actually understanding what my issues are, or what my pain points are, and why they're my pain points. And then ideally, he'll guide me or she'll guide me along that path towards my goals, right? I think that's important more now than ever today, because what the pandemic has done is thrown people completely out of whack with their current routines, and they don't know how to get back on track. It's different. You got kids at the house, you got work at the house, you got workouts at the house, you got your relationship at the house. You got to get out. How do you reorganize that and restructure a plan that's going to help you achieve your health and wellness goals, right? But when it comes down to it, you do got to make sure you keep a few different things in consideration, right? You got to eat right first. I'm a fitness guy.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter what you do. Listen, we can do burpees and push-ups all day, but guess what? If we go out there and eat that Wendy's after the burpees and push-ups, it's gonna be delicious, but you ain't gonna get the results that you're looking to get, right? So you gotta start with nutrition first. Then you gotta have a program that matches your goal.
Fine, I didn't mean to cut you off,
Yeah.
but when you said you gotta eat right, Aki and I was just looking at each other.
Listen, man.
But I think we're all guilty of it.
Man.
But please proceed.
Yeah,
I mean, Sekou, I know Sekou. Like I said, we're roommates. I see Sekou ate all those bananas the other day, but you know, I used to see him at Kilimanjaro a couple times a week too. So we're all trying to find a balance. I'm at Wingstop a little too much.
You know, let's hear the truth. Let the man speak here, okay?
Oh man, I can't tell you how many people I talk to on a daily basis. All I do is talk to people, right? So like, you know, the biggest issue is always nutrition first, right? People love to work out, they love to move because it makes them feel good, right? Whether if it's walking around for 20 minutes or if it's coming to a hit-based class here at Fit Academy, it makes you feel good. What they don't think about is the nutrition, right? Because it's very emotional. Right, eating is emotional. So if they're having a bad day, they're stressed. They're eating a pizza, they're eating a donut, pastries, whatever it may be to help them feel good.
Yeah.
When you can have a healthy meal and still help you feel good too. Or they're drinking wine, beer, alcohol, right? Smoking, eating. It's this perpetual cycle of negative nutritional habits that are going to continue to take you away from your goals, right? So that's number one and two. And then the last piece is going to be, you know, people go on these ups and downs. These, hey, I'm in it, then I'm off. I'm in it, then I'm off. Right?
Yeah.
It's the accountability and consistency, right? Because in the end, Michael Jordan didn't become Michael Jordan without a coach, right?
Absolutely.
No, right? Wayne Gretzky, same thing.
Definitely.
My man Kobe, rest in peace.
Definitely.
Right? I mean, they didn't become great without having a coach, right? So having someone who's going to keep you accountable towards the goals that you set for yourself is critical. It's critical. I have a coach. You know, I didn't build this by myself. I mean, I did build it by myself, but I didn't like get the knowledge
people
all by
also
myself.
help.
Yeah, exactly.
I do have to say that because like I went through Osayi's program, a workout program last year, and I say like the accountability was the biggest thing, you know, as far because it was a 12-week program, and I say literally within 5 weeks. I'd accomplished my goal for the whole program.
15 pounds.
And I was man, because I'm not gonna lie, it's not a cheap program. But what I've learned in life is that, you know, if you get the results that you're looking for, with no matter what no matter what you pay, you're gonna be happy to you know, pay the price because you're getting the kind of value out of it. And so, you know, I'm not gonna lie. When I started the program, I was like, you know, the dollars coming out of my bank account. But then, you know, I would do it 10 times over, honestly, based on the kind of results I got. So for those of you who, you know, are thinking about, you know, working out or doing a workout program, you know, you definitely want to reach out to Osayi and Fit Academy because it definitely changed my life. But I want to also say that a big thing for people because we're just talking
What
about.
kind of results did you get, bro?
So I put on like.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I mean I put on like 15 pounds of muscle in like 5 weeks. It was a 12-week program, and so by that point, you know, it was just keeping it going because, you know, I had kind of accomplished what I was looking to.
Your results came quick.
Yeah.
And like you went from like flat to like cut up.
Yeah.
And it was all muscle. Like we didn't lose any, or we didn't gain any fat at all.
Right.
You know? And the thing that was cool too is that you learned so much during the process. Right. So the way we do things is it's very personal. It's very educational. So we're teaching you. Hopefully that way you can leave. I told him I'm like, yo, bro, the goal for this is that you get to your goals and then you leave and you know exactly what to do. You don't need us anymore. Right. In the end, that's what success is.
Yes.
Then you can do that for the rest of your life. I taught you how to fish. Go catch some fish.
Yeah.
On that note of the learning and the information, I think because we spoke earlier about how all the information is out there now, but you know, the challenge a lot of people have is, you know, figuring out what's the information is right, because like there's a lot of conflicting information out there, and so I think it could be information overload for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So for people who let's say like looking for the right information, where are the best places to start? You know, like if let's say you are Googling, you know, where do you know, what sites do you know, would you go to, or what should you be Googling to figure out, okay, these are the foods I should be eating. These are maybe the workouts I should start with.
That's
Especially these Instagram models. Like this Instagram, goodness, it's like influx of people working out, and on the video it looks good, but like some people are trying to emulate these workouts. So that's like the misinformation, man.
Yeah.
How can you dissect that to your own benefit?
I'm not sure I have the answer for that. I'm not gonna lie. Don't go to Instagram. Don't go to Instagram. All right.
Don't do it.
Do I need to say that one more time? There's two things are gonna happen when you go to Instagram. You're gonna be depressed, and number two, you're gonna have very unrealistic expectations. All right, and that's the realist. All right, so don't go to Instagram. And if you do go to Instagram, go to someone who's talking about real stuff. Right? Don't go to someone who's just doing hype reels because they look pretty and they want to show out the ass out. Don't do that. Right? First off, go to credible sources. Maybe things like, Men's Health and Women's Health is actually really solid information if you actually go through it, right? Go to your local gym. These facilities that we create were made for you guys to get specific results, right? Every single person that comes in here, I built this not because, I want to work here. I want to work out here. Hell yeah, I want to work out here. But at the same time, it's not based on my specific needs. It's based on what my ideal client's needs are. So go to some place that really would be focusing on goals, similar goals to what you're looking to achieve. Have a conversation. Sit down for a consultation, right, with one of the people who are either coaches or an owner, and really navigate what that sounds like, right? Because in the end, they went to school for it, they got the certification for it, and they can modify it based off of your specific needs versus any kind of Instagram person who's doing backflips and landing on a Bosu ball.
Yeah.
Feel me?
Definitely.
It's so interesting you say that, because I feel like we live in this like virtual thing. A lot of things are becoming virtual, right? So for someone like you, you mentioned something about go to your local gym. Sometimes people just really don't understand the importance why these institutions. So I look at these you have them these, because sometimes there's a lot of competition out there, right? You competing against these virtual coaches or versus actual coaches. So what are the difference? And what are the benefit of these? For someone like you who owns a fitness academy, why is it coming to the actual gym outweigh you sometimes being at home and trying to do things on your own,
or the hybrid, because
so talk to us about how do you navigate these options?
Great question. And it has nothing to do with the gym. It has nothing to do with the online service. It has everything to do with you. So as a client, you got to figure out what's right for you, right? If you don't feel like you can get the best results by working out at home, your ass needs to come to the goddamn gym. It's that simple. If you feel like you just need something that's going to work for your schedule and you need help creating an action plan, right? Then talk to someone that maybe it's a little bit of at home, outdoors, indoors, maybe somewhere else, maybe personal training. Figure out a game plan that's actually going to work for you. Because in the end, if it doesn't work for you, it's not going to work for you, right? So I think now in today's day and age, due to the pandemic, the high level of customization is where it needs to be at. Because there's two things that are happening. I mentioned it before. One, people are tired of being home, right? At first, you needed to be home. So you needed to have a plan that made sense for you at your house, right? Now as the United States starts to open up, it's super more important to maybe have some flexibility, because now most people are working at home anyway. That's not gonna stop anytime soon, right? Some people are still scared to come into the gym, right? You gotta wear masks. So maybe it's a combination of customization based off of your needs. And that's what's going on right now in our industry. And that's why we're really, I think, succeeding right now, because we customize everything based on you. Doesn't matter what we're doing at all, right? It really depends on you. For example, Seiki, you may do better with having an online program that's purely just at home, right? Or maybe you don't even want to come in to our gym and do personal training or group fitness because you already have an LA Fitness. You just need a game plan and someone to check in on you to help modify things from time to time. Great, I can help you with that too. So I think right now it's about what matters to you more than what the gym offers or what the service offers.
This has been really good so far. And for everyone who's tuned in, I'd like to thank you for being here. Please definitely down below, click on the like button to show that you do like what we're doing. And if you don't like the talk we're having, be honest. You can click the dislike button, but then reach out and show us how we can improve. And make sure to subscribe to our channel. We're having a great conversation with master trainer Osayi here. Let's continue.
Absolutely. Again, we want to engage the audience. Again, like Osayi keeps saying, this is not about us. It's not about him. That's the beauty of his work. Fitness is not about the coach. It's not about the gym, right? That's something like, I'm sitting here like, okay, that's different. And it really resonates. It's about the customer. It's about you as a person. So this show is about you. So if you have any comments or questions, please ask away. We really with one of the top fitness coach in Philadelphia, but beyond fitness, you could also say he's a businessman, also with life lessons. So he's always here. Of course, at the end of the show, we'll let people know how they could get in contact with you and whether they could stop by the show. He's a really cool guy. He's got really cool positive energy. I'm telling you, once you talk to him, man, you're hooked. But do you, beside fitness, outside of fitness, what are some things that you involved in that you could share with us?
Outside of, well, I guess it's all along the same lines. Business-wise as well. So for example, right now, the pandemic forced a lot of people to rethink a lot of things. So one of the things that I thought about was, if my studio has to shut down forever, indefinitely, how am I going to continue to help people in a positive way? So I created.
So,
go ahead.
I didn't mean to cut you off because sometimes you do say things that we want you to unpack that.
Of course.
So the shutdown happened for you as a Black business owner. How did that impact you emotionally? And also, how do you manage to? How were you processing the shutdown?
The shutdown last year was an interesting year. It was very, very interesting. It wasn't nearly as painful as my year prior to that. And I think in order to really fully, because this is an individual experience for me, right? So in order to fully understand why I think this way for how I processed that, how it impacted me, you have to understand what happened before. Prior to that, I had 3 locations, right? One in Rittenhouse, one in Pod Park. And that was the dream. When you own a brick and mortar studios, to have multiple locations, have more. So that was an amazing experience. Had a great team, very dynamic young team, but I was stressed. I was stretched emotionally, I was stretched financially, and I had to let go of the studio. Right, the one in Rittenhouse, and that messed me up. Talking about significant amounts of anxiety, panic attacks, you guys want to talk about mental health? That was my downfall. It was, on the outside, it looked great, right? It looked just like this, smiling and everything. But on the inside, it felt like I was having a fight with myself every single day, And then not luckily, at the end of it, I lost the studio. And that was one of the most painful things, And it took a while for me to accept that it was the right thing to happen because of everything that was going on. I was emotionally tied into it. I was financially tied into it. I was losing a shit ton of money. So that was painful.
Well, what was it the location being in Rittenhouse? What?
I don't know if there's one thing or other. It's business. Some things work out, some things don't. I try to figure out the answer. It just led me down a path which just became more and more anxiety and more regret. Rather than, instead of looking at how I did it, and if I did it the right way, and the answer was yes, I did do it the right way. Maybe I should have had more money, but hey, I didn't have that much money when I built this, right? But circumstances changed. Now looking back on it, that was a blessing in disguise.
Tell us about
absolute blessing in disguise.
All right, get us to the good news.
It was an absolute blessing in disguise because I learned so much in trying to manage that level of workload and trying to be something that I wasn't at the time. I had to level up myself tenfold to be where I'm at now, right? I had to go through a lot of pain mentally, a lot of pain emotionally, a lot of pain financially, relationship pain, right? And all those strives allowed me to just like weightlifting, add more layers of muscle, add more strength onto who I am as an individual. That way, so now fast forward, the pandemic hit. Right, I closed my studio in October. The pandemic hit 5 months later, and I was on a plane going down to Florida for spring training with my girlfriend at the time, and I'm getting texts and everything from my team back here at the studio. Hey, New York is closing down due to the pandemic. So I'm like, all right, that's New York. New York's crazy, of course. I'm like, it makes sense, but we're probably next. Next day, I'm in a hotel. Boss, Philadelphia's closing down. What should we do? I'm like, close the studio. I'm like, all right, close the studio. We'll send out a message, and then the world was shutting down. It wasn't just me anymore, right? So then it took like about, I had basically formulated a plan in 72 hours to figure out how we're going to transition, how we're going to make money. And because I went through all the shit and the heaviness and the stress from last time, I wasn't stressed out about this. We were all in this ship together. So if I'm feeling the pain, you're feeling the pain. It didn't matter what industry you were in at all. It's completely agnostic. Like, the president got COVID. My man Idris Elba got COVID. You know what I mean? Like,
the great equalizer.
Yeah, I mean, he got COVID, man.
That's what I'm saying, right?
Things get real.
The shit was real.
Yeah.
So I had a different viewpoint on it, and now it's like, okay, well, I didn't do it. So why complain about it? So what can I actually do to keep pushing? So it turned from fear to, we need to fight. We got to go 10 rounds for this motherfucker.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So the mindset shifted into action and into, I wouldn't call it aggression, but it was consistent action in figuring out ways to problem solve to continue to stay alive. It was fight or flight for a little bit, but in a positive way, because it wasn't from a negative mindset, it was from a positive mindset. Does that make sense? So when I say, to read back to your question, how did that shutdown impact me? It made me even better. Because now I had to change my business to help more people in different ways, and that only expanded our skill sets, everybody's skill sets. My trainers had to learn how to do accountability even better than they already did. They had to learn how to use Zoom to help people stay in shape. So it was painful being shut down for 7 months, damn near the year, but by taking a different approach mindset-wise, I was still able to have a successful year.
The power of the mind is not a joke.
And,
it's not a joke.
That was really powerful, man. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm sure that really resonated with our viewers as well, because what you just shared with us is this is something we could all implement in our own life, because the shutdown was a shock, right? It's almost like sometimes when your body gets shocked, it becomes numb, and then your mind, then the pain comes, right? But what I love about what you said,
I think also with having gone through that prior pain, because it's hard for people to accept sometimes, for all of us to accept sometimes that in order to go through growth, that you will have to go through pain. But having gone through what you went through in 2019, and then to go into 2020 and experiencing the shutdown, you're experiencing COVID, it's a different kind of relationship with what's going on. So I imagine, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but I imagine it, like the way you handled it, you weren't necessarily going through it in the same way than, let's say, you were going through it in 2019.
Yep, completely different.
So it's just this sense of turning, what you said, this is exactly, I'm going by what I heard. Fear can sometimes get us to be stagnant, right? But I love how you say turning your fear into actions, right? And to me, I was like, that's a gem. We are looking for that.
Dropping knowledge over here.
Because right now, a lot of people, a lot of us, whether personally or family, a lot of our friends, close friends, are going through it. Somebody could look at you and come into this studio and be like, oh my God, you are still doing great. But they still don't know what you're going through. But this is also an opportunity for people. How can you elaborate and push more on, again, this goes beyond fitness. How can people continue to really leverage on during this difficult time and turn into something they could help them to manage to still come out of it okay.
And maybe you could touch upon even in 2019 when you went through some of your challenges, what you did or learned to do in order to, let's say, get to the other side, in order to go through the growth versus kind of like maybe shrinking or shriveling in the other direction.
Yeah.
And I think that could be very helpful for people listening or watching in, to just know how to respond or to like learn how to grow through challenges.
I would just say process.
Yeah.
The pain, right?
Yeah.
That's a big one, bro. All right, so I think any time that people are going through periods of adversity and periods of emotional and mental strife, I think there's two things that happen. You either fight or you try to run. And typically when people run, they go back inside themselves, which leads to a negative self-loop, which leads to negative behaviors like overeating, undereating, alcohol, substance abuse, and that just continues to negatively compound in a negative way, right? I think the biggest thing when this stuff is happening is awareness and then acknowledging it. Because a lot of people will spend too much time in a place of the negative self-talk and won't break out and say, shoot, I'm having some issues. Like, I can't handle this. And it's okay to say, I can't handle this, right? Especially as black men, like, this is a big gem right here.
Yeah.
Black men, you have to allow yourself to not always be that rock. Because we can't always be that rock, right? And I think the biggest thing for me was really understanding how much pain I was going through and saying, shit, like I feel awful. And if I don't do anything about this, it's gonna be bad. It's gonna continue to be bad, right? And not only that, it's gonna continue to impact the people in your life, right? So that mental awareness of self-check, and then after you find that, hey, I understand I need help, you have to go get help. You have to go get help. Whether if it's through therapy or through different apps or through talking with someone that you trust, you need to get help to help get your self thought process out of that. Once you start getting your mind out of that negative loop, you then need to start working your mind towards a positive loop. It's a whole process, right? It's just like getting back into the gym, right? You got to get back into the positive motion of being emotionally healthy again. That way, it can then bleed into the rest of your life. And it can then bleed into the next phase of whatever strife it is. Because now, you're no longer taking on the strife or the stressor or the situation that's currently happening in the world in a negative situation. You're taking it on in a positive situation. And that changes the game, right? It changes how you look at everything. It changes how you interact with the situation, right? And it changes how you actually, the outcomes as well. So I think that was a big one for me.
No, that again, that was great. I hope everyone is really soaking up all this knowledge and great guidance and experience that we are getting from Osayi right now. Thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for being authentic with us, because this is really what a lot of us needs to hear right now. I just know like what you're saying. I know I'm on this show, and I could just tell by looking at P2, it's really resonating with us. So for me particularly, like just being an African man, so there's a level to this. That's just, I'm gonna go back to that, because at the end of the day, you are a successful business, black business owned, however you want to say it. But at the same time, there's just also this level of like African man being in that space where there's just, because there's also this pressure, right? There's all this pressure. You are not just a business owner, but you manage people, bro. Like you knew the decision that you make when you have to shut that, how that decision affects everybody around your team. So, so this is why, like, for someone like you to be this vulnerable is so important, because usually we idolize people like you, and we just think that, man, they're great, they're perfect, but we don't really try to see them in a whole different level. So you saying that really means a lot. To me personally, I would say, but I'm sure like it resonates with. So thank you so much for that.
It's super interesting because I think about it the opposite way. Anytime I see someone who's out there like who didn't just like also walk into fame, but who actually, you know, earn their way to whatever successes they're at. The higher the level, the more pain they need to get through. You know what I mean? So I think about someone who's great, and I say, damn, like, can you imagine what they had to go through to get to where they're at? And they're 40 years old, they've been doing the same thing for 15 years, losing until they finally looks like they're winning. That's how I look at things, right? And then I think to myself, am I willing to go through the same battles, the same friction points, the same losses, right, to allow myself to level up, right? So I see things a little bit different, but the greatest people go through the greatest strides.
Yeah, that's powerful. That's very powerful. You know, there's people who will be watching this that maybe are younger, they're kind of up and coming, maybe they're interested in entrepreneurship, maybe, you know, they're in a, you know, whole different space. But for people who are younger, maybe we could even like turn this into like your younger self. We like to ask this question, like, what would you tell, you know, the younger Osayi, maybe you're coming out of college, or, you know, you're in your early 20s and you know, you have your whole life ahead of you, still have your whole life ahead of you, but like,
I still don't smoke on your face.
but let's say,
like,
let's say more naive, you know, ignorant to like, you know, the way the world works. What advice do you have for just navigating the waters?
Drink more tequila. No. I'm playing. You know, honestly, I'm very fortunate. Honestly, I have a great network of people around me. I always have my brothers who are amazing mentors and just amazing leaders themselves. So I've had these trailblazers who've been able to kind of like lead me in the right direction, whether it's my brothers or business leaders or friends. But I think, you know, if I were to do it all over again at a younger age, you know, if it was the same path, I'd say double down on your investment in yourself. Financial investment. I'm not talking about just time, because it's not always about time. We all have the same amount of time, and I think like, you know, my younger self, I think I did spend a decent amount of time working towards those specific things, towards my goals. If I knew what I knew now from a business perspective in terms of marketing, what $1 brings back in perpetuity, and how to use that dollar to make more money. If I knew that, I would have doubled down on the knowledge set 5 years earlier. I would have spent the X amount of dollars it would have cost to get that knowledge set earlier, because I would have been 10 times faster than I did, or further than I am right now. And that's something that's scary for a lot of people, because it's the same kind of mindset that you get when, you know, and I want to give a little soapbox if you don't mind. It's the same mindset.
Listen, keep it real, man.
It's the same mindset that it comes to, you know, when it comes to our African American, you know, brothers and sisters, when it comes to your body and your mind. We don't invest in our bodies and our mind, and guess what? You only have one, right? Like, think about this. We're being decimated by this coronavirus. Why? Because we're unhealthy. We're dying at 45 years old. Kids going to the hospital, UPenn, you know, 45 obese, diabetic, dead, black. Another one of us gone. Why? Because they didn't take care of themselves. Female, same thing, gone, dead. Why? Because they didn't invest in themselves, invest in their health and wellness. The same kind of investment you need to make into your mind, financially. You got to invest that same thing into your body, financially, right? Firm believer in that, and everyone that's in, if you ask from the people that I've been around, everyone who's super successful does the same thing. Guys, there's a blueprint to this shit. There is. You wanna know why Jeff Bezos looks like he does at 65? Because he spends a shit ton of money on a personal trainer and a business coach. Look at who are the CEOs. They're all in great shape. They're all taking care of themselves. So find out where you need to invest in your life, whether if it's financially for your mind or financially for your body, right? And use that sooner rather than later. Cool?
Say thank you for literally just, again, continue to drop gems after gems. But I hope like our viewers today and those who actually like are with us today, I hope they walk away thinking differently about fitness. Like they like understanding of fitness, right? Because it's like I said, fitness is so much to fitness, like you just said, right?
It's deep. I still don't know all
of
of
it. So much, and it's so what you learn. Because sometimes we think that we go to the gym, we just want to look good physically, but there is so much to fitness where you can apply that to your life. Like it's not just about your physical appearances. And if that's what you into it for, I don't know what to say to you, but you won't last long.
No.
But it's really about your mental health, right? But this is what fitness is about, and this is why we're so grateful to have you on the show, bro. Like, for real. Like, if people think about fitness this way, a lot of people we'll see more like engagement in fitness. But sometimes the word fitness, when you hear the word fit, a lot of people's like, whoa, maybe this is not for me.
Yeah.
But that's why.
Maybe think about all those damn burpees are gonna make you do.
I think it goes to the why, because
Why, right?
when you realize like the why can be or should be so much more than just how it's gonna make you look from working out. Like it can be applied in so many other different ways, whether it's mental health, whether it's even just like your mentality in your day-to-day life, and so then that drives you continuing, or just like your relationship with fitness.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at the name of the gym, Fit Academy. How do you came up with that? Where's the academy aspect coming from?
Yeah, great point. So that was the entire branding of it is very specific. So Academy is in all block, kind of like college letters. It's called King Richard. And then fit is in a more italicized, evoking movement. It ties into the academy, which means bringing in movement into the academy, right? Academy is a place of study and growth of some sort of subject, right? So Fit Academy is basically a place where you can get fitness, but also learn, kind of like a group in a school in a sense. So that was the entire idea. Originally, when I created a concept, I wanted it to have an emphasis on youth development for like youth sports, youth athletes. But then the people who ended up becoming my business and my ideal quote unquote avatar ended up just being regular folks who wanted to work out, look good, feel good, but also hopefully learn some stuff and have some tequila along the way. But that's how Fit Academy became the name and the brand. And I'm still always looking of ways to bring that academy back into it and really continue to help our clients learn more about fitness and just continue the journey that it is.
All right. So you have an establishment here in the state. Do you thinking about expanding outside of the state?
No, I'm chilling for a minute. That 2019 made me look at things completely different, and I got some different ideas. When it comes down to it, I think more than anything, I am a business person more than fitness. I just happen to be good at fitness. But no, I don't plan on expanding more locations anytime soon. I found ways to make one location successful, and that's good enough from there until I figure out the next best option.
So on that note, I want to ask you. We're in 2021. Like the 5-year Osayi vision for because you said like you see yourself as more at this point as more of a businessman than even just fitness, and so you have this one location. So like what I was gonna ask, where do you see Fit Academy 5 years from now? And maybe that's part of your answer, but where do you see like where you're taking your whole overall brand in these coming years? Like we're looking back on this 5 years from now, and we're gonna watch this video and say we talked about this. We talked about this here on Pepper Soup Talk. So,
yeah. That's a great question. I think a lot of things have been swimming around my mind during this pandemic, because if you didn't start thinking about some option A's and option B's, maybe even C's and D's
Well, hopefully we'll get to like option D's.
Over the last few months, Fit Academy is established.
Yeah.
It's established. It can honestly almost run by itself with a good, couple good trainers. I still see it being a pillar of community and fitness in the neighborhoods that we live in. So I don't think we need to change too much. It's fine. And it is a home for a lot of people, and I see the neighborhood that we're at right now continues to develop. But I've always had this vision, and this is probably where my passion probably comes from. But I've always had this vision of like building just like the winning team. You know what I mean? And maybe it's because of my sports background, and I'm super competitive when it comes to like that kind of stuff. But I've always wanted to have this winning team, this all-star team that makes a significant impact in whatever sector it's doing. And being able to either be a part of that team, I don't have to lead it, but either be a part of that team or lead it, right? And having that, you know, kind of impact where people can, where the team and each individual truly makes an impact, right? I think that's what I would like to do next, whether if it's, you know, 10 years down the line, I'm 32 years old. It doesn't have to happen anytime soon. But I think taking all these qualities that I've been able to amass and learn over the last decade of building a business, entrepreneurship, sports, you know, corporate experience, and taking it to the next level of impact and excellence. And having the same like-minded individuals who are trying to drive towards that kind of excellence and develop a company around that. Because in the end, like I said, there's a blueprint to anything. Right? So we can. I guarantee you, the three of us can make something powerful. But I mean, honestly, I mean that's like big thinking. I mean, I don't know how realistic that is, and you know, people are people, and they're always changing. But yeah, I think you know, just building a kick-ass team that makes an impact in the most positive way possible. That just loves doing what they do.
Yeah. Cool. How can we come to the tail end of this? So
we get into the home stretch.
How can people find you? Let's say if they want to engage with, you know.
Yeah, so right now, guys, we're sitting over here in 31st and Girard, 1363 in Brewerytown. You can't miss it. It's right on 31st Street. You'll see some lights when you walk by the building. But you can go to our website. It's fitphl.com. That's FITPHL.com. You can catch me on Instagram, Osunde23, and my Fit Academy Instagram is Fit Academy PHL. But other than that, listen, drop into the DMs, start the conversation.
Well, thank you for everyone for tuning into another episode of Pepper Soup Talk. We're here bi-weekly on Saturdays at 4 p.m. Eastern. We're here with master trainer, business owner, just a man of many talents and a lot of wisdom. Osayi Osunde, Nigerian brother too, and you know, so we're honored to have this conversation with him, and you know, we hope you got a lot of information out of this, and you know, from his story and from seeing his process of getting to where he is today. Again, we're here bi-weekly Saturdays at 4 p.m. Please follow us on Instagram as well at Jollof, and we'll be back at you next time.
All right, take care. Thank you, brother.
Yeah, man, always.